Hello, everybody, and welcome to Youth Connect Friday, September the 3rd. I'm Aiden.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Joshua.
I'm Nebras.
And I'm Jeffrey.
And welcome to our Youth Connect. I am so excited to talk to you guys today. You know what? It's been a while. I hope you're ready for Youth Connect because the first thing that we have to start off with is our gaming news. So first thing first, we got to do our Spotlight Game of the Week. Here's when I share one game that I really want to spotlight and share with you guys. And today's game is actually a really cool game that is close to my heart. And today's game of the week is Rivals of Aether. So Rivals of Aether is an indie fighting game set in a world where civilizations wage war by summoning the powers of fire, water, air, and earth. And I know many of our viewers love fighting games like these. In it, basically, once you have chosen a rival to bring into the battlefield and manipulate the powers of classic elements and animal movement, you begin to unravel the mysterious conflicts of the planet Aether in story mode. If you're not into story mode, then you can band with friends to take on shadowy creatures in abyss mode. And even if you don't like that, if you really like some PvP action, you can go online to bring your combat skills to the test against actual live players. Another interesting factor, and the main reason I love Rivals of Aether so much, is that if you get the PC version of this amazing fighting game, you get access to the fan-made characters, which is called the Steam library. This characters, you can have your dream people that you probably wanted in Smash, like Badana Waddle Dee, Shrek, Goku, Shaggy, and so much more. The amount of creativity people have made into it is astonishing, even going over to my favorite mobile game, the Battle Cats, and even the joke character Shaggy Rogers. It is a laugh. It is really funny to look at all the characters and try them out because sometimes they're a bit overpowered. But I hope you guys check out this game because it is a blast, and I'm sure that you will have a blast too. Now, usually I would switch over to Kevin, but instead, or actually I would switch over to Kevin. But first up, we got Nebras, which is entertainment and podcast news.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys today? My name is Nebras Khan, and I'm your host of the entertainment news. Let's get straight into our top story. And the top story is about the Toronto International Film Festival TIFF will mostly be hybrid this year. But some A-listers are heading to the city. On Thursday, the festival shared a complete list of celebrity guests, including Benedict Cumberbatch, Jessica Chastain, and Andrew Garfield, among others. Other confirmed A-listers include Dune director Denis Villeneuve, Silent Night Keira Knightley, and The Good House's Sigourney Weaver. Canadians will have a chance to attend limited in-person screenings in Toronto or digital screenings online throughout the 10-day festival period. Some celebrities will appear at restricted red carpet events during film premieres. We are inspired by the excitement and anticipation we can already feel in the city. Joanna Vincent and Cameron Bailey, co-heads of TIFF, said in a statement. TIFF organizers announced in June that the festival would be hybrid, with theaters functioning at reduced capacity and limited gatherings. It is a hybrid festival, but we love the word hybrid. It doesn't have to be a bad word. Festival co-head Vincent said in a June interview with CBC News, "We actually think there will be a hybrid component of the festival that will continue for years to come. So it's here to stay." And my second story is about handful of the fall's biggest releases postponed due to the Delta variant surge. Paramount Pictures on Wednesday postponed the release of Top Gun Maverick, sending another of the fall's top movies out of 2021 due to the rise in coronavirus cases and the Delta variant. Instead of opening November 19th, the Top Gun sequel starring Tom Cruise will instead debut Memorial Day weekend next year on May 27th. Additionally, Mission Impossible 7 will be delayed from May 27 to September 30th next year. The postponement is the latest setback for Hollywood's once hopeful fall movie season. The Delta driven surge has upended the industry's plans for some return to normalcy at multiplexes. The flight of Top Gun Maverick follows similar delay for Paramount's Clifford the Big Red Dog, while some studios have hedged their bets with big releases by simultaneously streaming them on release. Paramount Pictures and Sony Pictures have tried to stay the course of a more traditional theater release. Sony earlier delayed Venom Let There Be Carnage from September to October 15 due to a rise in COVID cases. Following Paramount's announcement, Sony Wednesday moved Ghostbusters Afterlife from November 11 to November 19th. That's a bummer, guys. I was very excited for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So if you don't remember, guys, I did a show talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife in March or April, and I said it's gonna come in July, but now it's coming in November. That's a bummer, guys. I'm really sad. And now my third and final story is about for assisting the crew of the popular Netflix show The Umbrella Academy. The Hamilton Music and Film Office has been nominated for an international award. The Outstanding Film Commission Award is granted by the Location Managers Guild International (LMGI) in Los Angeles to the film office that did the greatest job assisting location managers on a movie. Film commissions and offices are municipal entities that help us with permitting, permission, and approval, as well as how to manifest the vision of our creators to actually happen on city streets. Without them, we would be running wild on the streets, said John Ruckich, president of LMGI and chair of this year's ceremony. Hamilton is the only Canadian city to make the list, beating out more than 60 others. The following businesses are competing for the award, which will be given out in October. Bridgerton was shot in the Bath Film Office in England. Tenet was produced by the Estonian Film Institute. Tin Star Liverpool is produced by Liverpool Film Office. The Underground Railroad is a film produced by Savannah Regional Film Commission. Love and Monsters will be screened in Queensland, Australia. So these are the nominees, including Hamilton. So Elliot Page, a Canadian actor, stars in The Umbrella Academy. Scenes were shot on Otto Street North, City Hall, and the Emerald Street Pedestrian Bridge, among other places for the second season. This year, it was also back in the city to film another season. The city said the show filmed for more than 57 days in Hamilton in 2019 and brought in some $15 million to the city. So that's all for me. As always, this is Nebraska from Youth Connect. I'll see you all next week. Have a great long weekend. Thank you very much. Back to Eden.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nebraska. You know, I'm so sad to hear that our favorite movies are being delayed. Oh my gosh, I hate it when something that is so cool gets delayed. But people need to have it happens to the best of us. And you know what? Movie producers sometimes have to just delay it a bit because sometimes it's editing, or sometimes an incident happens, or it's sometimes even most times right now it's COVID tests. So it's important that we are all right with changes. I mean,
safety comes first. Honestly, safety comes first. I know we are all bummer. I'm bummered. I'm sad, but safety comes first.
Safety first, always. For your second news, apparently China is now forbidding children under the age of 18 from playing video games for more than 3 hours a week. And that has knocked shares in Tencent Holdings and other gaming companies, while young players took to social media to express their outrage. Beijing said the new rules were necessary to stop growing addiction to what is once described as spiritual opium. The People's Daily, the official newspaper of the ruling Communist Party, said in an article on Monday after the rules were announced that the government had to be ruthless. The new rules have been stretched out even more, saying that they will make sure that online gaming platforms only offer services to minors from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Fridays, weekends, and public holidays. According to state news agency Xinhua, which cited a release by the National Press and Publication Administration, China had previously restricted gaming hours to teens to 1.5 hours per day in 2019, which is scary, I must say. I don't think I could handle just 1 hour of gaming. That would be terrifying. But it's indisputable that indulging in online games affects normal study life and the physical and mental health of teens. The People's Daily article said, destroying a teenager will destroy a family. Young Chinese gamers were, however, angry, and between you and me, I can't blame them, because you know what? When a whole country bans games and bans only certain amount of time that you can use it, that's pretty scary. That's the whole country saying that they're making that a law, that you can only play for 1 hour during only on Friday, weekends, and public holidays. Oh, thank goodness we don't live in China. But you know what? This has been my second gaming news. Next up, we have Kevin with some local Canadian news and weather.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Youth Connect. The time is now 3:42. I'm your host, Kevin Aruja, but now we've got the headlines. Ontario reports more than 800 new COVID-19 cases today and 6 more deaths. The proof of vaccination will be required at movie theaters, gym, restaurants in Ontario, and much more. Trudeau calls out anti-vaxxers for putting kids at risk as campaign event is disrupted by protesters. The Peel's top doctor urges residents to reduce contacts once again as schools get set to reopen. And Canada captures World Championships gold for the first time since 2012. Ontario logged more than 800 new COVID-19 infections today as the number of ICU patients approaches 170. Provincial health officials are reporting 807 new COVID-19 cases, down from 865 on yesterday, but up from 781 last Friday. Ontario Health Minister Christine Elliott says 628 cases are in individuals who are not fully vaccinated or have an unknown vaccination status, and 179 are in those who are fully immunized. 6 more virus-related deaths were reported today, 3 of which the province says occurred earlier this week, and 3 that occurred more than a week ago in the past few weeks. The province has failed to provide specific time frames for when some of the more recent deaths had occurred. Over the past 7 days, officials have added 4750 related deaths to the overall death toll. Ontario health officials have said in the past that once the number of COVID-19 patients in intensive care across 200, the healthcare system comes under increasing strain, and some elective care might not be postponed or canceled in the hard-hit areas. About 83% of Ontarians aged 12 and older have received at least 1 dose of a COVID-19 vaccines, and nearly 77% are fully vaccinated. Ontario residents will need proof of COVID-19 vaccinations to go to gyms, cinemas, restaurants, casinos, and a slew of other non-essential businesses starting September 22nd. As part of a provincial government's vaccine certificate program, which was announced on Wednesday, all Ontario residents will be required to show that they received both doses of an approved COVID-19 vaccines at least 14 days earlier in order to eat inside restaurants, work out inside fitness centers, go to nightclubs, cinemas, theaters, and casinos, and much more, as well as attended concerts, sporting events, the other large organized gathering in indoor settings. A vaccine certificate will not be required for retail shopping and outdoor dining, or attending workplaces, religious services, and other essential businesses, including grocery stores, pharmacies, and banks. Exemption will be given to those who cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons and for children who are not currently eligible to be immunized in Ontario from September 22nd to October 12th. Unvaccinated individuals will be given a temporary exemption to attend funeral or wedding receptions and meetings and event spaces provided they show a negative COVID-19 case test results 48 hours prior. Ontarians will be expected to use the paper or PDF vaccine receipt available online along with photo ID to prove that they have been fully immunized, but the province said an app or QR code system is currently in development. Liberal leader Justin Trudeau made an election campaign stop Tuesday at the University of Sudbury, located on the grounds of Laurentian University, and during his visit pushed back against about the 2 dozen protesters who were disrupting the event, saying they are wrong for opposing COVID-19 vaccinations. Trudeau told the crowds that a Liberal federal government would work with provinces and territories they want to create vaccination certification or vaccination passport for those who have been immunized against COVID-19 so that everyone can be safe. The Liberal leader has been plagued by protesters and recent campaign stops ahead of September 20th election last week. An event in Bolton had to be cancelled for security reasons. Trudeau's stop was at the University of Sudbury, which was until recent one of Laurentian's federated universities. Laurentian declared financial insolvency on February 1st and has to be several cut programs and staff as it works through the restructuring under the company's Creditors Arrangement Act. During the process, it also unilaterally cut ties with its three federated universities during its event Tuesday. Trudeau said the Liberals would protect minority language communities and ensure strong francophone post-secondary institutions. He said his party would invest $80 million per year for post-secondary institutions serving linguistic minorities across Canada. The Peel Region's top public health officials is calling on residents to begin reducing their discretionary contacts once again, amid concerns over the impact that the reopening of schools could have on case counts. Medical Officer of Health Dr. Lawrence Lowe made the comment during a briefing at the Brampton City Hall on Wednesday. He said that the advice applies to both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals. In Ontario, about 21% of the new cases of COVID-19 reported over the last week have involved fully vaccinated individuals. Students are set to return to the classroom next week for the first time since April, but it has also decided to allow students to return to something more closely resembling the pre-pandemic norm with extracurricular activities, school assemblies, and sports permitted once again. He also said that any return to the workplace for non-essential employees should be gradual and that companies should not go for 0 to 100 amid a Delta driven forward of a pandemic. Canada claimed its first Women's World Hockey Championship in almost a decade last Tuesday when Marie-Philip Poland scored the overtime winner in the 3-0-2 victories over the United States. The Canadians won gold 9 years after the last time atop the podium in 2012. After not reaching the final for the first time in the history of the tournament in 2019, the U.S. had won 5 world titles in a row and 8 of the previous 9. Poland scored at 7:22 of 3-on-3 overtime. Brian Jenner passed the puck up to the captain, whose shot went off the crossbar and into the net. The goal was initially waved off by on-ice officials, but the Canadians were soon piling on top of each other in celebration. Assistant Captain Blair Turnbull suffered a leg injury during the celebration pile-up. She was carried off the ice before returning to celebrate from a stretcher with her teammates during the Canadian anthem. Jenner had a goal and 2 assisted, and Jamie Lee Rattray also scored for Canada. Defender Jocelyn Lacroix had 2 assists, and Renee Desbiens made 23 saves in the win. Canada and the US required extra time to decide the world champion for the 5th time in their last 7 clashes for the gold medal. In today's weather forecast, we've got a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. The temperature is now 23 degrees centigrade. On Saturday afternoon, we've got mainly sunny. The temperature will be 25 degrees centigrade. That's all to report on weather. And have a great weekend, folks. And now back to Aiden's board gaming and video gaming news.
Thank you so much, Kevin. You know what? I gotta say, for everyone who's thinking about the passport, you gotta think of it like this. As Nebraska was gonna say, or as Nebraska said, safety first. Always safety first. That's the most important factor to know. For our last video game news, we got to do our board game of the week, similar to our video game of the week. But guess what? It's a board game. And today's game is actually quite silly. And you know what it is called? It's called Cubitos. And if you look at the box, there's a giant cheese man. So Cubitos will not be the most serious board game in your library, but in it, players are racing to the finish line as quickly as possible by using custom dice to roll, re-roll, and roll again so that they can move, collect credits, and use special powers. The exciting thing is that every game, the dice have different abilities, and if you roll too many blank dice faces, you'll bust and miss out on moving and buying new dice. It's kind of like Mario Party. Do you want to try and buy a few reckless cheese dice to get a lot of movement if you can avoid busting? Or do you hope that a Rollosaurus dice will land face up for you on this turn and let you move 4 spaces right away? This game is super wacky, and I guess I could say that you will have a real good time with its cheesy jokes. Goodness. Please excuse me. You know what? Sometimes I try to make jokes, and sometimes they're just not even funny. Anyways, next up we have Joshua, and he has with us some world news and, of course, your favorite cute animal news.
Good afternoon. Welcome to UConnect. Here's what's happening around the world. Germany's long-serving Angela Merkel prepares to step down. Angela Merkel would leave office as one of Germany's longest-serving leaders and a major global diplomat. She has a legacy defined by her management of a multiple crisis that shook a fragile Europe instead of any great visions for her own country. In 16 years as leader of Europe's biggest economy, Merkel ended mandatory military service and set Germany on course for a future without nuclear and fossil fuel power. Merkel passed her first test in 2008, pledging that German savings were safe at the height of the global financial crisis. Over the years, she was leading figure in the effort to save the euro currency. From the debt crisis that engulfed several members, she agreed to bail out, but insisting on painful spending cuts. In 2015, Merkel was a face of welcoming approach to migrants as people feeling conflicts in Syria and elsewhere, despite resistance from both at home and among European partners. Towards the end of her career, she led a COVID-19 response that saw Germany fare better than some of its peers. Whatever the ultimate verdict, Merkel can celebrate a unique end to her tenure. She is set to become the first German chancellor to leave power when she chooses. At least 14 dead in New York City as subway stations turned into waterfalls, streets, and became rivers. A flash flood emergency was declared for the first time in New York City as subway stations were turned into waterfalls and midtown streets became rivers. New York City also declared a state of emergency. President Joe Biden spoke on Ida's damage in the Northeast Thursday afternoon, citing that New York recorded more rain Wednesday than its usual sees the entire month of September. People were trapped in the subways, but the heroic men and women of the New York Fire Department rescued all of them, Biden said. New York fire department members rescued hundreds of people citywide during the storm, removing occupants from trapped vehicles on flooded roadways and revoking New Yorkers from subway stations. The department spokesman Frank Dwyer told ABC News. The rainfall Wednesday evening broke records. Central Park reported a record of 3.15 inches of rain in 1 hour, the National Weather Service reported. Every subway in the city was suspended according to the Metropolitan Transportation Authority due to so many flooded stations and people were being evacuated from subway cars stuck underground. Now turning to technology news. Stopping hackers how to keep your home Wi-Fi router secure. How secure is your Wi-Fi net router? When it comes to home cybersecurity, experts tell CTV News that too many Canadians are overlooking their Wi-Fi routers, leaving their networks open to cyber attacks. Having a compromised router could allow hackers to stop on spying everything that you're doing online, including your banking, medical information, or steal your bandwidth. A compromised router can even give hackers access to security cameras, baby monitors, and other smart home devices on the network. It can also allow hackers to replace the website that you want to visit with fake websites that you steal your login credentials and personal info. Think of your router as another lock on your front door, and if you leave that lock less secure, it is one less step for your cyber criminals to go through in order to get to you, according to a cybersecurity expert. Here are some tips on how to secure your home network. Step 1. Change the default passwords. Changing your Wi-Fi password to something that can easily be guessed and hiding the name of your Wi-Fi network can go a long way in stopping a neighbor from stealing your internet bandwidth. Step 2. Keep the router's firmware up to date. It's also important to keep your router's firmware up to date. Manufacturers regularly release firmware updates in order to patch security weaknesses discovered by hackers. Step 3. Enable the guest network. If you have guests over and want to give them your Wi-Fi password, consider setting up a guest network which allows them to connect to the internet while being separated from the rest of the devices on your network. If you have any smart home devices such as a Google Home or a Ring doorbell, he also recommends putting those devices on the guest network to keep them secure. None of these methods are 100% foolproof, but he says that's all it's about, adding more layers of cybersecurity and creating friction for potential attackers. Turning to animal interest news, female octopus have been observed throwing objects at males who harass them, including during unwanted mating attempts, according to new research. The new study has yet to be peer reviewed. Captured female octopuses on camera using their tentacles to gather debris including shells, slit, and algae, and launch them toward their other octopuses with a jet of water. Some throws appear to be targeted on other individuals on the play a social role, as suggested by several kinds of evidence. The researchers wrote some throws were directed differently from beneath the arms, and such throws were significantly more likely to hit other octopuses. Researchers have studied this strange behavior in octopuses of the eastern coast of Australia since 2015. While it's common for octopuses to perform similar throws when building dens, the act of throwing is rarely seen by any creature in the wild, in much less in a social context. In December 2016, one female threw debris in 10 times a nearby male who went repeatedly tried to mate with her, hitting him 5 times. These actions, combined with the male's apparent efforts to dodge the thrown objects, may indicate intent. This is Joshua Sher reporting for Uconnect. That's it for me. Now I'll send it back to you, Aiden.
You know what? I guess we're learning more and more that octopuses are very, very smart animals. And you know what? They're getting, you know what? They have, what's it called? They have social, like, so social connections. So sometimes if they don't have a good connection with someone, they'll get mad at them. And I gotta say, it's kind of cool because that's probably not every animal does that. It throws things at other animals they don't like. Pretty cool, but it also is kind of scary. But to do our last bit of Youth Connect, we gotta put the cherry on top with our last person today. And guess what? Our famous musician is actually outside. So now we have Jeffrey with live music. Jeffrey, you're muted.
Sorry. Hope you're ready to rock and roll all night and party every day. You show us everything you got. You keep on dancing and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, you drive me crazy. You say you wanna go for a spin. The party's just begun to let you in. You drive us wild, you drive me crazy. You keep on shouting, you keep on shouting. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. You say you wanna be mine for a while. You say you'll be mine for a while. You're lucky and I like your style. You drive us wild, you drive me crazy. You say you wanna go for a spin. Party's just begun to let you in. You drive us wild, you drive me crazy. You keep on shouting, you keep on shouting. What? I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. Every day. Thank you.
I was rocking and rolling all afternoon with you, Jeffrey. Sorry, I was trying to come up with a joke there, but it did not sound good. But that was an amazing song, Jeffrey. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So this has been the end of our Youth Connect. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I sure did. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And don't forget to click the bell.
Other than that, guys, I just want to say thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Nebraska. Thank you, Jeffrey. And thank you, Kevin. We will see you all next week. Enjoy the long weekend, everyone.
Bye.
And have a
Bye.
great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good job, guys.
Bye-bye.